Here we have jigsaw blades, all different tooth configurations. The first one out front is quite aggressive. Does a really nice job. A little longer than some of the other ones. The tang on the end here, this is set up for specific types of jigsaws. This one has a little different setup on them. And what you find is you're going to find that some of the teeth are running, I'm going to say uphill towards me. Some are running downhill, and they're all different. The outside one here has very, very fine teeth. This is a metal cutting blade. The teeth are much closer together and a little bit different configuration. For here, this one here, if you're running your piece and on the upstroke it's cutting, basically what's going to happen, if you're going to get any tear out or splintering, it's going to be on the top surface. And you're going to want to put your good surface down facing away from you. On this one, it's just the opposite. It's actually cutting on the downstroke. And what's going to happen is you're going to get the tearing out or the splintering on the backside that's away from you. Here I have a standard corded jigsaw. Jigsaws are meant to cut circles. They can cut straight too. You can put a fence up and run your base up against the fence. They could also cut angles. And as you can see right here, they'll cut angles up to 45 degrees in either direction. For this particular one, I would just loosen that Allen screw that's there. That'll allow me to move it one way or the other, and then I would tighten it in the position that I want. Nice thing about this actual saw is that Allen key that you need is attached right to your cord. Nice and convenient option for sure. We have some special features. This one, I'm not sure exactly what it does. Unfortunately, I'm packing, get ready to move, and I don't have the instructions, and I always keep it in the same spot. This here will cause the blade to oscillate. So what it does is it moves in this direction. The further you go up, the more it moves. And what you want to do is you want to read your instruction manual to find out exactly which settings you should use for the material that you're cutting. Over here, I have a push button. If you look inside, it has a speed control underneath it. So I adjust it to the right speed that I need. If I pull the trigger in and I push it down, it locks it in place and it'll keep running. You click on it, it'll pop back out. Okay, just make sure you don't leave that on when you plug it in. Yes, when it comes to changing the blade on these, this particular one, you pop this here, you pop it up and you twist it and it'll loosen the blade. Some of them have a little flap on the front here, which locks it in place. And some of them have the old style ones had just a screw to hold the blade in place. Like I say, just go over your instruction manuals and that'll tell you exactly how you change the blade. In order to remove this blade, what I need to do is, in this particular machine, is I take this and I pop it back and I turn it about 3 or 4 times. And I come back. If I've done everything the way I'm supposed to, this should twist and pop out. Remember, these blades are extremely sharp. If I'm going to replace it again, if you look up inside here, there's a bearing and it has a slot in the middle. I want to make sure I'm sitting in that slot as well as being in the right position here. So if I pop it in and I swing it over, I want to make sure that I'm sitting right in this particular one. You're going to twist it and it'll click. As soon as it clicks, you just pop it back in again and the blade is now secure. A little trick that I learned along the way. I'm not sure who showed it to me or whatever, or whether common sense kind of tells you certain things. If you wanted to make a radius or a circle around the outside of a corner, okay, you're going to set up something that's visually pleasing. You don't necessarily need a compass and make marks. You can just say something that's around the size. You can take things like washers. I can take cans of varying sizes, even up to a big paint can. And I can do circles based on that. And as long as they're visually pleasing a lot of times, and like I say, it doesn't matter what size piece I put up there, I can make a nice radius there, make a nice corner on a small washer. Using various washers and paint cans and stuff like that, I can get a variety of different size circles depending on what I want to accomplish. The real small circles might be too tight a cut, or definitely are too tight a cut for the jigsaw. So what you're going to do is just do it as if it's like a stop sign and it has edges on it. You're going to just take a little cut, and you're going to change the angle, cut a little cut, and you're going to leave the lines. Always leave the lines so you can see it, so you know what to work up to. And then you can take it over to a sander and you can sand it right to the lines and make a nice smooth curve. With a jigsaw, if you're going to be on a piece like this, especially something that's fairly thin, what you want to do is you want to make sure that your base is firm against your piece. You don't want to be up in the air. If you're up in the air, you turn it on, you start to cut, it's going to slam down on you. It could damage the workpiece and it could hurt the operator. And remember, you got lots of blade underneath. Make sure you don't stick your hands. Make sure you don't get your cords caught up in there. It'll cut the cords. Be very, very careful of that. And make sure you got enough distance underneath it so you're not going to hit anything in the process. Because if you hit that blade, it'll bend the blade. It'll also shoot the saw back up at you. So you got to be careful. Material like this, and you have a jigsaw, and it's out a long way from where it's supported. What's going to happen is you're going to get this type of action with the actual jigsaw. It's going to actually flutter and chatter and make it uncomfortable, and it'll make a mess of what you're doing. So what you want to do in this case is you want to move this in much closer to that solid surface. Yeah, so I'm going to cut this circle right here. It's fairly tight. I may not be able to make that radius with this. So what I got to do is I got to cut it sort of like a stop sign. And this is how I do it. I leave the line. It doesn't have to be a perfect cut. So I'm going to take it over to my sander, my disc sander, and I'm just going to rotate it around there and I'm going to smoothen it up to the line. So I want to make sure that I leave the line exposed. On the big line here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get as close as I can. I should have no problem making this radius, but I want to make sure that this part is down flush so I get a nice square cut. In order to make this cut, basically what I want to do is I need to be moving forward. So this needs to be moving forward as I turn. If I try to keep it in one spot and turn, I'm going to twist the blade in there. And I could actually ruin the blade and I'm going to mess up the cut. And I'll just finish this cut off. As you can see, the cut is fairly smooth and I'm almost right on the line. Just needs a little touch up and it's nice and clean and it's a beautiful radius.